Beautiful night out tonight. Just enough wind to keep the mosquitoes away. I say that as I feel like one's biting my ankle. Make sure if you are watching this in replay or watching it live that you make a comment or you like the page or do something on the page so that I can get you in your in the drawing for the prize at the end of the year, at the end of the summer, put it that way. So we've got a few minutes before we go into the story, so we'll just kind of hang out for a little bit and let some more gather and hop online. Had a busy weekend this weekend. I was so lucky to be able to marry my cousin down by Detroit Lake, so that was fun. I'm trying to see, it doesn't tell me who's watching tonight. I don't know what's going on here. Comments. Okay. Make sure you say something, hi or whatever. Hi, Jenny. So good to see you. I'm in a public place again, so you'll see people riding bikes and walking by. They're looking at me like I'm a Looney Tune again. I made the mistake of putting my my Waldo glasses someplace special so I wouldn't break them or lose them after the golf tournament, and now I can't figure out where I put them, so I've got to find them for next week. Of course, I didn't start looking for them until the last minute, so we'll have them for next week, but we'll hang on. Hey Bonnie, good to see you. We've got a few more minutes, about 5 more minutes. I was saying I had a great weekend. I drove down to DL and spent 2 days in DL with my parents and my dad's side of the family as my cousin. Was able to marry my cousin. We did it right on a place called Meadows on Lind, and we actually had the ceremony right on the beach. It was just absolutely beautiful. But half of the family is from Arizona. They live in Arizona right now. And during the wedding, it was 57 degrees, so it was freezing cold, and they were all sitting there wrapped in blankets on the beach, you know, and the Minnesota folks were like, this is okay, not so bad. Hey, Peg, good to see you too. So yeah, it was kind of funny, but it was really fun. And then I hopped in my car and I drove to Michigan and picked up my granddaughter in Marquette, Michigan on Sunday night and drove back as far as Ashland, Wisconsin. So we started driving that morning at 9 in the morning and we quit driving at 11:30 that night, and then got up the next morning and drove home. Got home mid-afternoon on Monday afternoon, so that was good. So now I've got Kaylee with me now for 5 weeks, so that will be fun. She's staying obviously with her dad most of the time, but I get her for part of it. So Aiden and her are hanging out right now. Aiden stays over on Wednesday night, so he said we better get Kaylee over for the night. So she came and they're hanging out, so they're having fun. Got a few more minutes before I break into the story, so we'll just wait for that. Peg, I'm sorry I missed the conversation with you and Linda. I was busy doing something. All of a sudden I got back and I saw you guys had posted back and forth on and on, so it was fun to... Hey Don, good to see you. Looks like my parents are watching. That's fun too. So we went, we're getting ready for the 4th of July. We're gonna grill, barbecue on my deck on Monday for the 4th of July, and we went and made hot dogs last night, and the grill, the heating element fell through and bust a hole in the back, so we went and looked for a new grill today, so that was kind of fun. We're going to pick that up tomorrow. So got a few more minutes before we start. Somebody's walking by, so I think they're gonna think I'm a little bizarro, but that's okay. Hello there.
Hi. What was your name? Misha?
All right, they're just walking by. That might give you a hint, maybe a little bit. Can you see what's behind me up here? Right up there. Give you a hint where I'm at. I've actually been in this location at a different spot one of the previous years before. And remember, you don't have to know where you are at or where I'm at. Don't post the location. No, I'm not at Concordia, Don. Don't post the location. Message me that later if you want to know for sure where I'm at. I'll tell you where I'm at next week for sure. But basically just make a post or like the post or something so that I know you're here, and then you'll be able to get your name into the drawing for the end of the year. So I was at Concordia last year, so who knows, I might be back there again. We'll see. There's lots of fun locations at Concordia too. I've got a couple fun locations out of town that I'm going to try to hit one of these next couple weeks, Wednesdays as well. So, hey Angel, good to see ya. Angela's watching as well. That's fun. I'm baptizing a little one. I did a wedding for a guy I work with, his daughter, about a year and a half ago, and they are back in town to do a baptism tomorrow. So I'm going to run out at noon out to that wedding venue that's on Highway 10 between Dilworth and Glendon, and we're going to do a little baptism on my lunch hour and then head back to work. So it'll be fun to do that as well. I show another minute or so, so we'll hang on for just a quick second. The mosquitoes aren't bad out here, but there's a lot of little gnats flying around, so I saw that they're going to spray tomorrow, so that will probably take care of those. But just another second or two or three. So remember, no church on Sunday. We're going to take the 4th of July weekend off, but we'll be back on track the following Sunday. We will, oh, Bonnie knows where I'm at. Woohoo! We're going to be streaming at 9 o'clock, not the 3rd, but on the 10th from Kirkabo. So catch us there online at 9 if you want. So I show at 7 o'clock. I think we'll get started. As I mentioned, I went and married my cousin on Saturday, had that ceremony, and then on Sunday, Monday, I drove to Michigan and picked up my granddaughter. Today I went to visit, I had a service at River Point Assisted Living and sat and visited with them while after the service, and one of them had just had a stroke, and she was doing really well. Unbeknownst to me, in the 2 weeks that had been since I was there, she'd had this stroke and been in the hospital for 5 or 6 days. And then I also went and attended a celebration of life out at the cemetery north of Moorhead for my neighbor lady. She missed being 100 years old by 2 months. She died in November, and the family was able to finally all come. One of the grandsons actually lives in Finland, so his whole family flew from Finland for this service. So as I was looking for a story today, I was just kind of thinking about how things don't always go the way we want or how we plan, and how we sometimes have to change directions when we're not expecting it, and how to be positive and happy and hopeful in those times when that happens. So the story that I found, it's called From the Depths to the Heights, and it's written by Brian Norell. So let's begin. From the Depths to the Heights. I was lying in bed in the dark, ready for sleep, when my fiance announced that her engagement ring was now in my sock drawer because she didn't want it anymore. It felt like a baseball bat to the stomach, and one of the worst nights of my life. It would be months before our actual separation, during which time we saw a counselor, but that didn't help. On the day she was to move out, she returned to our apartment in San Francisco to collect the last of her belongings. As if my world wasn't shaken enough, that was the moment the powerful Loma Prieta earthquake struck. I was amazed that our building did not collapse. In the weeks that followed, paralyzed with depression and grief, I decided to continue seeing the counselor on my own. One day he gave me a homework assignment. I was to write down a list of 100 life goals. It took me 2 weeks to complete the task, and when I finally handed over the list, I expected him to read it, maybe even give me a gold star. But he didn't do either one. He didn't even look at it. He merely instructed me to pick one goal and take 2 small steps towards it before the following week and my next appointment. Looking over my list of 100 goals, I chose fly an airplane. I bought a flying magazine. That was one step. Then I went to a local airport and arranged with a flight instructor to take a low-cost discovery flight, it was called. During that first flight, as I took the controls at 3,000 feet, I let out a shriek of excitement. The flight instructor grimaced in pain, and I assured him I would never do that again. And so began my journey to become a pilot, starting from scratch. No knowledge, no experience. And when I bought $300 worth of textbooks, I began to question what I'd gotten myself into. Then came the fear that accompanies every new challenge thrown at one while flying. That's when I realized I needed to adjust my mental attitude. Somewhere along the way I had read that people should tell themselves they were the best at whatever they were attempting to do, but to keep it to themselves. I took this to heart. Thus, I decided privately that I was a Top Gun pilot, suffering from some sort of amnesia. With that well-hidden core of confidence, I was going to seek the help of flight instructors and ground instructors to chip away at the forgetfulness that had apparently overtaken me. Newfound enthusiasm came along with this new attitude. Unlike the school days of my youth, which I privately viewed as a benign prison system, I was now excited to recover all this lost knowledge. No way would I ever miss a ground school class. Eventually, the time came for my first flight check with the chief instructor, an airplane pilot with 11,000 hours under his belt. As if I wasn't nervous enough already, one of my classmates privately confessed to me that he'd recently been through the same routine. Not only did he fail, but he actually cried when it was done. Without my internal Top Gun attitude, I probably would have succumbed to the urge. Hold on, I'm getting kind of dark here. Oh, wait, I don't want to go that way. How do I get it backwards? The other way. Just a minute here. Oh, my stars. I'm so not technically savvy here. I don't know what I just did. Just a minute. There we go. Okay, without my internal Top Gun attitude, I probably would have succumbed to the urge to run away and never go back to the airport. Top Gun pilots, though, don't run. On the day of my first in-flight testing, Paul, my regular flight instructor, approached the chief and me as we prepared to get airborne. Pointing to the chief and myself, I asked Paul who he thought was more nervous. "I am," Paul replied, and I was startled by his reaction until I realized that he too was going to be evaluated based on my performance that day. Climbing into the cockpit of a Piper Cherokee Warrior, the chief informed me that he would be giving orders but not answering questions. I'd never flown with him before, but I was beginning to get a sense of why my classmate had broke down. This guy was a tough cookie. Shortly after our wheels left the ground, I rested my right hand on my knee, and this led to a face full of drill sergeant as the chief yelled at me to put my hand on the throttle. The tone had definitely been set. Would my Top Gun mindset hold up under the pressure? The flight lasted 1.7 hours. It consisted of everything that could go wrong going wrong on purpose. Toward the end, the chief told me to take him home. We were out over the San Francisco Bay in the late afternoon, and prior to this, I'd always flown in the late morning to take advantage of the light winds. Now turning west toward the airport meant heading straight into the late afternoon sunshine. The plexiglass windshield, full of minute scratches, refracted the light in such a way as to be nearly blinding. Somehow or other, I managed to find the airport and put us safely on the ground. Without a word, the chief climbed out of the plane and walked to the office, leaving me alone for the first time to physically push the plane back into its parking spot. When I arrived in his office, I was eager to hear what he had to say. He started asking me questions about my performance. He queried me about each landing, forcing me to judge each one and explain what I'd done wrong. I thought I was done sweating bullets back in the airplane, but I was wrong. When he'd wrung me out like a sponge, he finally offered his opinion, evaluating my performance as superb, and I nearly fainted. There would be many more hoops to jump through before an FAA examiner would sign me off as a pilot. When that day finally came and I wound up flying home in a star-filled sky, I marveled at the depths of my despair years earlier when I was told to write a list of goals. I wasn't done though. Once I'd racked up enough hours, I applied to become an angel flight pilot. That entailed more testing, which as a Top Gun pilot, I also passed. The missions I would subsequently fly dealt with transporting a variety of deaf children to and from special camps in the mountains. Were it not for the despair and pain that drove me back into the office of that counselor, I am sure I would have never sat down and made a list of 100 life goals. My depression would have kept me from taking the simplest of steps in any direction. However, from the deepest emotional hole I had ever found myself in, I have soared to 17,000 feet in a glider, turned corkscrews through the air in a home-built RV-4 at 200 knots, and helped deaf kids have the time of their lives. As I said, it was written by Brian Norell. You know, I don't know what's going on in your life. I'm sure there are times where you have a corkscrew thrown at you and you've got to switch directions. I love this thing with 100 goals. There's no way I could come up with 100 goals, but maybe you just take time and figure out 5 goals for this summer, and then maybe you see if you can try to do one of your 5 goals. We are taking my whole family, the kids and I and the grandkids are going down to the cities for 4 days, and we have decided we're not going to do the norm. We're still going to go to the Science Museum, and we're still going to go to the Mall of America because my son has to have his Bubba Gumps, and we are going to Como Zoo because it's free, of course, and it's so wonderful, and I get to see my favorite giraffes. But the rest of those 4 days, we're trying to do something different. We're not going to go to the same places we always go to. We're going to try to do something different. And it might even be that we just sit in the motel room and play games and just have fun being together. But maybe you find some kind of goal that you want to set for the summer. I found a few verses. The first ones are verses about accepting change, how things may be different than what you planned, and all of a sudden you've got a change in your life. The first one is Proverbs 3, verse 5 through 6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths." Or there's Jeremiah 29:11. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you future and hope." And then a few verses about hope. Zephaniah 3:17. Boy, you sure don't read much Zephaniah, do we? "The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will be quiet. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing." How about Romans 15:13? "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace in believing, so that by the power of the Holy Spirit you may abound in hope." Romans 12:12, "Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer." 2 Corinthians 4:17 through 18, "For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for eternal weight of glory." So those times where we have a slight affliction in our life, it's a preparation for us for eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison, as we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. And the last one is Romans 8:18. "The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed with us," right? So as we go through those struggles and those changes, and we're not sure what direction we're supposed to go, I think what we're supposed to do is, of course, lean on God, reach out to him, ask him to help find those straight paths, lead you to what direction you want. And in the meantime, work on those 5 goals for yourself. Pick one out for the summer and find something fun to do, something different. And send me a message if you do it. I want to know what your goals were and what you actually got done. Now, location. Remember last week I was at the golf tournament, and I apologize. It took almost an hour and a half to upload the video at that golf club. Their internet was not great, so we had to post it a little bit late, but that's okay, because if you watch this as a replay, that's just fine too. You can still post a comment, you can still like the post, and you can still get your name in a drawing. We just want to connect with you whenever you can. Oh, good to see some more people. Marlene is on, that's wonderful. And who else here? Gullicksons are on, and Porters. Wonderful, wonderful. I'm hoping you can figure out what this is right here. Will give away my location for this week. You can either guess where I'm at by sending a text message to me, 701-261-0998, or email me, mjensen, that's ON001 @luthersem.edu, or the Pearly Parish email, pearlyparish@gmail.com. So go ahead and post. If you guess the right location, you'll get a second name in your drawing. So next week we'll be back again at 7 o'clock. I'll find another fun location and we'll go from there. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. Be safe. Hopefully we have wonderful weather. All of a sudden the gnats all came in one big mass right in front of me. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Hopefully it's going to be as nice as they say it is. And we will connect again next Wednesday night. God bless.